welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast.
I won't change my mind because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Yes, you are, and I'm Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the holiday to my sabbatical. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, vacation guy for hire.
You know, I was just thinking as I see on under your name, vacation enthusiast, and I was thinking like, well, vacation can apply to staycation, of course, as well. Because I was first thinking like traveling, but it's like we've never had. No one's ever done a movie about a staycation, have they? Like Home Alone, but
yeah, kind of Home Alone, kind of, but yeah, it's not that's not the true essence of a staycation. You know, his intention was to go away.
Yeah, exactly. So. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing that no one's done yet. I don't know how you write that story, but
I could see a little quirky comedy about that. You know, maybe a little rom-com action.
Yeah, just
fall in love with the neighbor.
Okay, all right. Now we're talking. Now there's something there. Maybe this is more up your alley than my alley in terms of writing.
Yeah, I don't know. I would actually have to write something to be able to do that. But yeah. But yeah, we're Nick is going to be away on vacation. Actually, as a crow flies right now, as you're listening to this, Nick is away on European vacation. So in honor of this, we're going to discuss our favorite movies involving a vacation. How's that? Right? How's that for a topic?
Makes perfect sense. It makes too much sense to me, honestly.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm surprised that like us or Mac and Goo or the Dork Podcast haven't done this before.
I mean, part of it feels like it is a little niche. Maybe that's why. But at the same time, like, has someone done a top like summer camps?
I think it was Mac and Goo. If not, if nothing else, a 6-pack of that. But yeah.
Okay. Damn, I remember those days, the 6-pack days.
Yeah, thank God we're past those days. Content out the wazoo, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sticking through giving you content while you know one half of our team is enjoying themselves and the other half is just working away, slaving away. So we got this coming for you here. But so maybe a little truncated of an episode, but Nick, you know, it's 4th of July as we're recording this, maybe the 5th of July. What is the best and worst state that you've been to?
Oh,
that you just think of.
Well, I mean,
doesn't have to be. You don't have to. You know, you can just talk out of your ass about a state. So you don't really have to have gone there.
Well, the best state is the best state in the union is, of course, New Hampshire. But
a Massachusetts boy like yourself.
I mean, I live here now. I made a choice to be here. But worst state. So this is weird. So I enjoy. Like when I was in Dallas, Fort Worth, I enjoyed that part of Texas. But I will always say that Lubbock, Texas is like pretty brutal. But now as I'm talking through it, I just remembered like Florida. Like I'm not a big Florida guy. I understand like for all of us on the East Coast, when you're a kid and you make that first like warm weather climate trip, usually it's down to Florida. And as a kid, I appreciated that 100%.
And it's probably Disney World too on top of that, right? So like Disney that adds to it.
We did spring training one year as a kid. And then I've been to Florida a lot for baseball reasons over the years. But once you go to California, it's like, why did I ever go to Florida? I understand it's money, but it's just like one is significantly nicer than the other.
California probably is the most picturesque, like aesthetic state because you got the mountains, you got the cool breeze, you got the beaches, like, you know, you got a little bit of desert there. You can go up north and kind of get good like forest with the redwood forest and everything like that. So it's got like everything you could want out of a climate.
Yep, it has a lot.
It's expensive, you know. If you're in one of the cities, like I almost want to put the cities to the side because I would hate. That's the cities that I'm in, you know.
That's totally fair. They have like their cities are not perfect, but my thing is from a weather standpoint. Like when I've been to California in February and played there, and then I've been to Florida in like February and March, and it's the difference in climate. I remember when I was in California, and I was like, now I get why California baseball players like there's so many good ones because you can play outside right now, and it is perfect friggin' weather. In Florida, meanwhile, it's like just the humidity. That's just
it's a swamp.
Yep.
Just
Absolutely. Swamp.
well, I do like Florida though. I tend to kind of lean towards tax free. No
Mm,
no state income tax there. So obviously New Hampshire has a good run for its money. I didn't know state of Washington is tax free.
really?
It doesn't get brought up when you're talking about like the Mariners or like the Seahawks when they're talking about trying to sign players. Like
That's really
everyone
interesting.
talks about Texas, Florida, and Tennessee.
Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
So
I
yeah,
didn't. Oh, Tennessee is? I didn't
yeah,
realize that.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tennessee, Nashville's fun too. I haven't gotten to see as much of it as I would have liked. What would you pick for the worst, Wes?
Well, Massachusetts, I'm near and dear. That's might be the best one. Just from loyalty side.
Sure.
Worst state. What comes to mind is Connecticut.
Ooh.
It does nothing. People who are on the like New England tri-state area. If you're from New York, if you're from Massachusetts, we can probably handshake agree that Connecticut is pretty bad. Just because like that's the only state that aside from Rhode Island that you really drive through to get to that other state, right? So like you kind of understand it. 95 is always under construction. There's always traffic. Connecticut, they have no sports. They claim to be New England. They claim to be tri-state. Neither one really wants them. It's not really any add value to it. I'm sure like if your wife goes back and listen to this, she's gonna like
I,
want my head,
I don't know about that, but I just want to go on the record so that no family knows I have not taken part in any of the Connecticut bashing. Other than I will say it's the commuter state that doesn't know how to commute.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah. I am only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking on behalf of the CMM podcast here. So yeah, that's a good disclaimer there. But like there's no real add value to it because you can get nice beaches in New Jersey if you're tri-state. The Jersey Shore has
Mm,
plenty. Is huge. It's not just the TV show and like Jim Tan Laundry sort of thing that you would see on the boardwalk. So there's some really nice beaches there. You got rich people, you got the country life, the same thing in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Like, there's no real variation between Connecticut and the other states it claims to be a part of.
mm,
So, that feels kind of fraudulent to me. I
mm-hmm.
will give a shout out to New Jersey. New Jersey, not the worst state, not the best state, but it's an underrated state.
Hmm. Okay.
Because again, the beaches, it gets a bad rap because of like northern New Jersey being so like soprano heavy and like, hey, I'm a New Yorker here.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the Jim Tan Laundry stuff, the Jersey Shore reality show,
Right.
probably wasn't the best advertisement for it, but a lot of nice neighborhoods, a lot of great schools, a lot of nice beaches. It's got a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, that is a fair call.
Wawa.
Oh, yes, right. Wawa, of course. I which I have. I think I told you I did go down eventually when I was down in Jersey. I forget. It was my sister-in-law's family. I forget where they're from, but anyways, the other one that I did that as you were talking through everything, like what does it really do? There's a lot of like Nebraska's like I enjoyed driving through Nebraska and it has Omaha. I've driven through Omaha.
Hmm.
I've been in Lincoln for like a few days. But like that's one that's just like it's not really bringing a whole heck of a lot to the table. Like it's not like it has like picturesque nature or anything like that from what I could see.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ohio, um,
Yeah.
Columbus is awesome,
The
but
Rust Belt.
is that what that's called?
Oh yeah, that's like all the old like steel factories and everything along the
Oh,
Great Lakes region. So you have like Indiana, I don't know,
okay.
maybe West Virginia, Ohio,
Hmm.
like Western Pennsylvania.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Okay. Ohio didn't have a whole lot to offer, at least when I drove through it. I think I've only been in Columbus. I don't know if I've been in like stayed in any other cities there, but I drove through it a few times for like the cross country trip to school, and it was
Hmm.
not certainly not picturesque.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I think of those middle America states and it's like how much do they have to offer and everything. And I'm sure they're great. I would hate to sound like a Northeast coastal elite, but being like, the middle of the state, middle of the country has nothing to offer. But that's kind of my thought.
Some don't have an offer, and some do. Like
Yeah.
it's just like there's not like it just doesn't need to be painted with like a broad brush. I guess like Columbus, Ohio is awesome. I haven't been to Cincinnati or to Cleveland, but the rest of Ohio that I've seen didn't have much to offer. like I like Lincoln, Nebraska, but it's also like what else is there really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oklahoma, love driving through Oklahoma. Like
Hmm.
and I stopped in Tulsa. So like yeah, it's just there's plenty of like waste of spaces out there. We have waste of space up here in the Northeast too. There's just not we're not as big the states.
Here's a contender for worst state, Delaware.
Oh, you know what?
No
I've
real
never.
purpose for it.
I don't think I've ever been there, but I can get behind
That's
that.
a tax free state too. To
Well,
its credit, but
well,
from what I understand, the rumor is that a lot of big companies, big banking companies, and credit card companies all go there because they like the corporate tax code is like very forgiving. And
now
it's
I like about
supposedly like a very like if you're like a kind of a bad big business owner, if you're kind of a bad guy, you go there because you can kind of work around a lot of laws and things kind of work in your favor.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Because I think people forget about it.
I didn't know. Oh,
Yeah,
it is. I would venture to guess that it is the most forgettable state.
it is pretty, and
This
it's
is-
the first one. People forget. People remember Rhode Island as like such a small state, but people forget Delaware.
Yeah. No, we said the first one. It was what was
It's the
this?
first state.
It is.
Oh yeah.
That's shame on me. I for
Hmm.
I wow. I don't. I just don't remember that at all.
You
Okay.
don't read license plates when you're driving on the road.
I guess I haven't. I guess I forget. That I haven't seen a Delaware license plate in a long time. But I've just realized we're not doing really good for our national reach today, Wes. People
I
are
know
they're
we're
pissed
just
at us.
cutting off listeners at their feet here. They're like, nope, okay, turn this off.
Yep.
Unless you're from California, maybe Lincoln, Nebraska, definitely New England, you're okay, but Connecticut, yeah, we're fine to lose you anyway. Um, yeah, some good best and worst states talk. I did go to New Orleans. I know I mentioned that probably 2 episodes ago now,
Hmm.
but I saw the Mississippi River. Not that nothing Nothing
Wow.
great about it. It's just a big, dirty canal. Like I have a canal like a couple, maybe a mile or so away from my house. It looks far greater. This was just like a wider, dirtier canal.
Are you saying the Cape Cod Canal is greater than the Mississippi River?
I dare I say, yeah, from my vantage point in New Orleans.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now
We
it's
need,
now you're you're really throwing bombs.
yeah, we need to get some like gambling riverboats up on the canal here. Then it would really top it out.
Come here for the movie talk. Come for the hot takes on geographics.
Yeah, that's
Not
it. That's what we're about here. Next week, when you return, we'll get a whole power rankings of European countries.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
we'll do that. We got content for days here.
Yep.
But you know what never runs out of content? It's Nick's Comic Book Minute coming to you right now.
Ah, a superb choice.
This is a massive week for me to be in parts unknown because Marvel's got a couple first issues coming out. Actually, three first issues. We got Phoenix issue 1, which is part of the whole new X-Men era from the ashes. Daredevil, Woman Without Fear issue 1. We've seen a lot of Elektra in her Daredevil outfit. It's been going on for quite some time, but now she's got her own title. And then Namor issue 1. And that's going to be done in the same way that it's going to be done by Jason Aaron, who did the recent Punisher run that Joe and I were really big fans of. From DC, we got Nightwing issue 116, and then the start of the next Dark Knights of Steel Elseworld story. All Winter issue 1, which has what's his face, Deathstroke on the cover with like a Viking helmet. So I'm very excited to check that out. And then from Image, we got the reboot of Witchblade, which was one of the earlier Image Comics titles, has like stopped over the years and stuff. It actually was made into a show in some capacity at some point. I never saw it, but it was live action. So that's coming back, and it's like a reimagining of which I guess is what a reboot really is, of the origin story of this character. So it'll be very accessible for new readers who aren't familiar with her. And then from TLDR, we are going to be doing our Christmas in July event continues. This week, we're talking with the Kill Your Darlings crew. We've talked to them quite a bit. Their story has been nominated for an Eisner. since we last spoke with them, and it is
Mm.
now in a collected edition. It's available on shelves. So we'll be talking a little bit spoilers for those who've read it, but we'll do some spoiler free stuff for anybody who hasn't read Kill Your Darlings from Image Comics yet.
I hope that in Witchblade #1 that the author uses kind of like a Dr. Seuss type rhyme scheme, so you can be like, which Witchblade was used by which witch.
That would be a good one.
I
That'd be
didn't hear anything you said. I was just working through that in my head to make sure I could deliver
I
that
understand that.
in
I
a
very,
timely
I
fashion. Yeah.
very much understand that process. But I don't know. But now we know for if they
Hmm.
ever decide to do a comedic issue, that would be a good
Yeah,
move.
yeah. Or if you have her on the pod, just make that question #1. Which
Yeah,
Witchblade did which witch use?
yeah. There you go.
And which was your intention? Anyway, let's get on to our main topic. Best vacation movies. Best movies involving vacation is probably the way. I won't label it for SEO reasons, but that's probably the way that we're going to attack it this week. It doesn't have to be a movie centered around vacation, as long as it involves a vacation of some sorts.
Yeah,
It's fair game.
yeah. And we did a top 10 on this, and did an average of our scores to figure out
Hmm.
these where things stand. But which is what we tend to do. But yeah, I like this was there was a level of like back and forth in my head about certain movies. It's like it involves vacation. When you start mixing in holidays, sometimes it can get a little bit messy too. It's like, is this like
Hmm.
how does it factor in? And we'll break that down as we go along. But would you like to start us off at number 10?
Well, yeah, but before we do that, I do have like a question because we said involving vacation. When I was kind of going through the list, I was like, does this involve vacation? Like these two movies that it kind of involves summer vacation, but it takes place at like the last day of school.
Mm.
What's the movie? Dazed and Confused, for example.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like it's kind of like that, but it is really the last day of school movie, not like a summer vacation movie. Uh,
Yeah.
and to a lesser degree, super bad.
Oh wow, is that? I didn't think of that.
They're like graduating, but it's like their last week of school. But like, I'm not sure if it takes place on the last day, like Dazed and Confused does, or if it's like senior week or something. They're just kind of like finish up their finals are all done. They're just like finishing up some stuff before graduation.
Yeah, that's a fair question because the other one I thought about too, so part of me said, so I feel like no on yours, which then
Hmm.
leads to the one that I was like back and forth on a little bit as well, is also a no, and that was Ferris Bueller's Day Off because like
Ah, yep.
playing hooky, like first of all, like we can't, there's no like you can't do a best hooky movies like. I don't know how many you could really get into there.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, would this fall under since it's like a day off, like a mini vacation sort of thing? But
Well, if we were in the corporate world for that movie, he would have to use or might be docked a vacation day.
oh, there you
So,
go.
maybe that's the connection there,
Gotcha. Yeah, that must be why.
guys of corporate America.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
all right, yeah, let's dive into now that we got that settled. Our number 10 movie, coming in with a combined score of 2, only because I ranked this movie. This was not on Nick's list, and quite frankly, if this didn't take place right down the street from where I live, this maybe may have not made the list as well. The way back. I've talked about this movie a few times. I know Mac from the Mac and Goo program have talked about this quite a bit. This is Steve Carell, Tony Collette, Sam Rockwell, and it takes place at Waterwiz in Wareham, Massachusetts, where they come down for the summer. Steve Carell plays a dickish stepdad, boyfriend type figure to this young boy who's like a little nerdy, a little meek, and he's kind of coming of age there and kind of figuring out who he is while working at this water park, which again I frequented quite a lot, and it's run by Sam Rockwell, who kind of plays this great older, cool guy who doesn't really have anything going for him. He might be like a loser in real life, but to the main character, he's like the absolute man. Very good stuff, and again, it just reminds me of home because it's filmed within 2 miles of me.
Yeah, that's fair. In all fairness, I haven't seen this movie,
It's
so
I think you and Lauren would both enjoy it if it were to pop up. It might be on Max. Might be on Max.
okay. Yeah, quite honestly, like when when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the Ben Affleck movie where he becomes a basketball coach? 'Cause that's the way
Yeah,
back,
the way
right?
back, and I think that's he's like an alcoholic coach. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a white version of like Coach Carter, you know. But it's like he's dealing with white man stuff there. You know, his alcoholism, but maybe his family left him or something like that, and he's like, I'm just gonna coach this youth basketball team to a championship. Maybe like what was the Keanu Reeves movie?
Hardball.
Hardball. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
The Cucumbas.
I've actually never seen Hardball,
That's a good
and
one.
I definitely saw the way back, and I just can't remember. I can't remember the full premise of it, but yeah, I remember like the alcoholic part. Yeah, it was that I remember it being a pretty good movie, I think. But anyways, I digress. So the way back,
Yes,
that's
every baseball play-by-play announcer's favorite movie.
the way back.
Yeah.
Wait, is it about like
No, because they go, "It's way back.
okay.
Way back."
Okay, I didn't know if there was actual.
That
Okay,
was it was just a joke.
you know what? On that note, there's a movie that it was good one. It's just one of those that was over my head. There's another like summer movie that we didn't include on here, but I don't know if like we have stuff to discuss as we go along. But
Mhm.
at number 9, coming in with a 2.5 score, just because I gave it a 5. I believe, Wes, this is the only one that made it that falls under Christmas, and that's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, I didn't rank any other. I had one other Christmas movie that was kind of like on the borderline for me, but it didn't end up making our top 10. It was very low on my list and actually ended up getting booted out later on. But Christmas Vacation. I mean, it has vacation in the name. Of course,
Yeah.
there are other vacation movies that you could throw in the mix. Of course, of the National Lampoon variety. But I
This is
felt
kind
like
of a staycation movie.
that is true. It is
Yeah.
kind of a staycation movie. That's very fair. But I felt like because it has it in the name, I felt a little more comfortable making that
Mhm.
leap as opposed to some other movies that we'll get to later on that didn't make the list. But of course, we've done full-fledged reviews on Christmas Vacation.
Of course.
Yeah, so we've beaten this like a dead horse, but at the same time, like Chevy Chase, as much as I've had like my critiques of it over the years, like it's something that like I'm not gonna watch this every Christmas, but at the same time, I'll watch it like every other because it does have like familiarity to it, as much as it's from a very different era or not very different, an era that I was not alive
Yeah,
in.
we just missed that era, right? This
Yeah.
is like maybe not just missed, but I think of like our fathers and maybe like
Mhm.
40s and up like
Yeah.
really like this movie, you know?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I know my old man's one that introduced it to me, and I know he loves it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this we reviewed this I believe the most recent Christmas that just passed,
Was it
not
most
the year
recent?
before. I believe so. And this has been in my rotation since. So I really enjoyed this. This is up there with the Home Alones, the Santa Clauses, what are the other ones there that I'm thinking of here? Christmas Story. It's all in my a must watch now for me. So I like having that on. Again, don't really need to say too much about it. You could put any of the National Lampoons movies in here, and I would be fine with it for the most part. I think this is the best of the bunch.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, Christmas Vacation.
So it was CMM 246,
Hmm.
and you gave it an 87. I gave it an 81.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So this is a solid B Christmas comedy movie. I
Yep.
think that's probably a sweet spot for a lot of holiday movies.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So so I know you had one other Christmas movie on your list.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
just where was your like when it came like did you have like a same thing as me? Like it's just Christmas is vacation, but we're talking about very different vacation movies when we talk about vacation.
Yeah, these movies, and I don't want to spoil anything, ruin the list here. So when we get to our honorable mention, like you said, we'll go through them. But there
Yeah.
is one set of Christmas movies that I like more than Christmas Vacation. But the question of it wasn't whether I thought this was a better movie or not. I just think these movies, like it's not really. It's like Vacation adjacent. One isn't, but one is, and I like that
Yeah.
movie better.
It's a tough like because I obviously like those movies more than Christmas Vacation too. But like in terms of talking, like this has vacation in the title, so I felt like it has like an extra edge. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to that more later. We don't want to keep teasing that too much. What do we got at number 8?
Yeah, and the other thing is I didn't want to have too many Christmas movies. I
Yes,
didn't want to be too hampered in here. If we're doing a top 10,
very fair.
vacation could mean a bunch of different things. I was like, if I only have to choose one Christmas movie, it's going to be the other and not this. But I'm happy with Christmas Vacation on the list.
Very fair.
Um, okay, so at number 9, or number 8, rather, we still haven't had any crossover yet. This was my number 6 for an average score of 3. Along Came Polly. Again, not, this is involving vacation. Of course, Ruben Pfeffer gets cheated on by his newlywed wife while they're on their honeymoon with Hank Azaria. And then everything kind of devolves there. And then the whole movie takes place back in New York. And they go back. I think this is kind of crazy. I would never go back to the place where, like, with my new wife, where my ex-wife cheated on me and my whole world fell apart. However, that's what they do in the end of the movie. So great stuff. Philip Seymour Hoffman steals the show in this. I've read somewhere that the movie was supposed to have Jack Black in the role instead of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I can totally see that happening.
hmm
And that movie would have been great with Jack Black. I think he's awesome.
hmm
But something about Philip Seymour Hoffman, it's kind of got like that Fairley Brother feel when you bring in Jeff Daniels to do Dumb and Dumber, or like a really well-known straight actor, like really good straight actor to come in and play goofy comedy. Um, it kind of has that feel to it, which I think makes it a little bit funnier. But this is like a point where Ben Stiller is kind of trending downward. Like I think we're getting like a little oversaturated with all the Ben Stiller comedies. And this comes up and it's like, this was a pleasant surprise, because then you have, like, there's a couple other movies like this where he goes away, he's dating a blonde girl, and he's like, doesn't sure if he wants to marry her. I forget what that movie is. I don't know if
Uh,
that helps at all. But anyway, there's like a couple movies that are kind of similar to this that, like,
uh-huh.
it's like, all right, we get the idea, Ben Stiller. Like, you're this neurotic, like, ironic, kind of funny, goofy guy. And he's
Yeah.
kind of wearing out a little bit. But this one was good.
Yeah, no, that is a fair point. At how things were kind of trending for him there, but yeah, no, I think this is a good one to have represented on here. It didn't make my list. Honestly, I haven't seen this in so long that this wouldn't. I just wouldn't have known to put it
Mm-hmm.
on here, quite frankly. Now the next one that we have is not. I don't. I can't be written off as well. I totally blanked on this. We had a conversation back and forth about ironing out vacation movies. And of course, we didn't talk about the whole Christmas side of it. We left ourselves to fend for that. But talking about bachelor parties and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, we put those in play. Of course, that does go with it's not bachelorette parties. I almost said
Yeah, of
bridal parties.
course.
I didn't think that through with this. I because Bridesmaids I haven't seen in so long, but that
Oh
comes in
yeah.
at number 7.
Mm-hmm.
You gave it 7. I did not put it on my list. Is there a bachelorette party in the movie? Because again, I really don't remember.
Well, they're supposed to be, but they get deplaned and turned around because Kristen Wiig
Oh,
gets too hopped up between on pills and booze.
okay,
So they're
okay,
supposed to be going to Vegas, and then they come back to it. But the idea of even a bachelorette or bachelor party, right? Like, as long as you're leaving your home in some way, I think that's a vacation.
I feel less bad that I don't have it on my list in forgetting that, but at
Hmm.
the same time, I'm also glad that you included it because having a vacation that gets lampooned, I think, is so important on here. Like you have to like it's not you can't just have to talk about the good times always.
Right, exactly. You got to take the good with the bad, for better or for worse, for sickness and in health, right? All,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Yeah.
hmm
No, absolutely.
On
And
fire.
this is like such an all-time movie. I wouldn't be upset if, like, you talk about like 2000s comedies or like 2010 comedies, like best of. This could be on the very short list for a Mount Rushmore representative.
100%. Yep. Absolutely. And it could be higher up on our list. I again left it off. At the same time, this I put it at 7. This is actually really a tie at 6th, Wes, because
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
have The Cabin in the Woods, where I put it number 7 on my list. So they're both even at 3.5. 5 college friends head out to a remote cabin for a getaway, but things don't go as planned when they start getting killed. They soon discover that there is more to the cabin than it seems. Now, I
Mm.
believe this is Billy D's or it was PCP, like combination of that. Love this movie. When I first met my wife very early on in our relationship, this was like a movie that I had not seen yet, and she was like, "You have to watch this."
Okay.
So she's one of her all-time favorite horrors. I absolutely loved it too. It's a great commentary on the horror genre in general. So this isn't under the like some of these other movies that we've had on our list, like very much are like tropical, nice weather, all that kind of stuff. This obviously is not. This is more kind of like what we did for my bachelor party, where we went up north, got
Yep.
this cabin, and then we're like, isolated from the rest of the world. Thankfully, nothing like this happened to us. Although maybe some may say it was a horror show. It was.
It was definitely some kind of show, shit
Yeah.
show, horror
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, so Cabin in the Woods was number 7 for me here.
Yeah, that's a good call. We talk about Bridesmaids, right? Like having like the downfalls and the bad stuff that happens in Bridesmaids. It's not all sunshine and rainbows on vacation. The same could be said for the Cabin in the Woods there. So it's good representation all the way around. Even though I would probably never watch this because I'm not a big horror fan.
Yeah.
I've heard this movie talked about a lot though. I'm very familiar. Maybe it's just from being, in this echo chamber of the DSG where there is so much like horror enthusiasts.
Mhm.
But I'm like very familiar with this movie, so
It's funny. So much so
it's worth
that I
something.
kind of was like in my head, did we do something on this? Like I thought like maybe for a Halloween we did, but I just did a quick search. I don't think so.
I don't think
Um,
so either. Yeah,
yeah, but I think that PCP audio is still available for those who want to hear
God, I
that.
haven't heard that podcast name in a long time.
It is
Long time.
been a bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, so we're at number 6. And this was actually a top 3 choice for Nick, but this was off my list. Although I like this movie, this gives it a score of number 5, I should say. Excuse me. Right, that's where we're at here. I'm
Mhm.
looking at the wrong
Yep, wrong
list. I'm
numbers.
looking on the left list, and I got to
Good that
look
you
on the
do that.
right list.
Yep.
But we're the Millers with a score of 4, an average score of 4 here. Jennifer Aniston, Jason Sudeikis, what's his name?
Kenny.
What was it?
Kenny? I
Oh
don't
yeah, no regrets, right? But no, who's the young guy? Who's in
no,
Guardians 3?
the actor's name is Kenny? Will Poulter
Will Poulter. Yes,
and
thank
Emma
you. Yeah,
Roberts.
and Emma Roberts there. Yeah, so kind of a sneaky underrated movie in my opinion. Like I felt like this didn't really get a whole lot of fanfare when it came out. Maybe it did, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. But this feels like a newer movie that picked up on like the TNT streaming cable era. Like it was like this movie's on all the time. I feel like
Mhm.
my dad likes this movie, which I think it kind of maybe speaks to like its available easy accessibility on TV. Um, this is a fun movie.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it did 270. Oh, it killed it from a box office standpoint.
Oh, okay,
270,
for a comedy too. Yeah,
yeah,
never mind then.
270 million, and it cost 37 million
Yeah,
on a
good for
budget.
them.
So yeah, so they did
They
a
got
good
a
job.
sequel too, right? We're the Millers too.
I didn't see it if they did. I don't recall. Maybe
Oh,
they did. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So I put this at number 8 on my list just
yes,
because
there is.
like
Yep.
they like I think actually did they say it in this a synopsis? No, but it's all like it's a fake family, it's a fake vacation, and then obviously there's a lot of hijinks. We have like this movie is a guaranteed fun time. A lot of bullshit happens along the way. But it's like for doing I've never done an RV vacation, but it's just
Hmm.
like being in close quarters like that. I feel like they deal with a lot of real stuff that families would deal with anyways in the course of things, and it's just a absolute mess along the way. So yeah, like I was actually kind of surprised that you didn't have this on your list after seeing mine.
Yeah, I should have. But I like Along Came Polly a little bit more. I needed to have way back as a bias pick in there, so there was
Hmm.
like it probably would have made the bottom half of the top 10 if I didn't go in with a couple of like clear favorites. And now you mentioned RV and going cross country. I just thought of another movie that I feel like could have been a big oversight on our part.
Oh no,
And we're
write
we're
it in the
you know,
doc.
we're inside the top 5, so we'll hold it until the honorable mentions there. But I feel like that's a big oversight, and at least for debate reasons,
Yeah.
we could talk about that. You know,
You know, there's oh yeah, that is a good call. There's another one too that you added to the list that I would have never ever thought of that as like as a
Mm.
vacation movie, and it's actually like it's pretty in a messed up way. It's a pretty good one, but we'll get to that later.
It involves vacation.
It does. No, you're absolutely right. It absolutely does. All right, coming in at number 4. So now we are in our top 4 in our Mount Rushmore of vacation movies. Wes and I have them all on our
We
list.
met up. Yes.
However, this first one you gave it 5 points, so it came in at 5th. For me, this one came in at 6th. So there's a pretty big gap in grading from our top from our number 3 to our number 4. But Wet
Hmm.
Hot American Summer, which quite honestly, Wes, I had not seen until very recently.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Yeah.
Set on the last day of camp in the hot summer of 1981, a group of counselors try to complete their unfinished business before the day ends. It was actually, I think it was Memorial Day. I was visiting family
It's a good time
friends,
to watch it. Yeah.
and one of my family friends was visiting from Washington. She hadn't been up in a long time, and for some reason, she wanted to pop this on with like like this is the girl who's my age, and there's other people my age, but then we also have like
Hmm.
my parents are there and other family, and I'm like, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, why the hell did you suggest this movie? To which Lauren and I left in the middle of the movie, came back to our place, and then finished it here.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but yeah, absolutely outrageous. Such a ridiculous movie. Obviously Paul Rudd, Elizabeth Banks.
Star-studded cast.
Yeah, I'm actually I didn't jot down.
Bradley Cooper, Amy Poehler,
That's
Christopher
right, Brett.
Maloney. Yeah.
Yep. The Bradley Cooper one I had Amy Poehler. When I saw Bradley Cooper, I was like,
Michael
holy
Ian
shit.
Black. I feel like it's like the whole Stella troop comedy group there is involved.
Christopher Maloney is just absolutely
Yeah, yeah,
bananas.
and it's like such a stupid movie, but the
Yep.
whole premise where like the campers, like the camp kids are like more mature and like emotionally grown than the camp counselors are, and like they're giving them advice on how to go through their life and everything. Yeah, it's great. Who is the brunette girl who was very cute?
Um, is it Margaret Morrow?
Yeah, I feel like she has kind of like an older name, but
It might.
she's very cute and like you reckon she's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's who it is. But who is it that I'm? Oh, Molly Shannon's in this. David
Yeah.
Hyde Pierce.
Mhm.
Ken Marino, who's like I don't
Of
know him by
course.
name, but you see, I know him by
Party he's
face.
in Party Down. I feel like he's been in, Eastbound and Down as well.
Yeah.
He's a funny I think he's a good writer.
There's yeah, and there's more too. Like names that like faces that you'll recognize, maybe names that you won't necessarily know. But yeah, it's crazy. Like just looking at the list on here, it's
And of
wild.
course, summer camp is an, intricate part of vacation, vacation culture, especially as a youth. You go
Yeah.
to summer camps, sports camps, maybe fat camps, with a
Mhm.
wink and a nod there,
Did
but
you ever do so I did a stayover camp, but it was like for college recruiting. Otherwise,
Mhm.
I never did a stayover camp. Like I did a baseball camp, like that's week long, but it was like at UMass Dartmouth. So my parents would
Yep.
drive me every day.
Mhm. Yeah, we did day camps. There was, something called the Sagamore Beach Colony Club in my, like, little part of my town. So it was all, like, neighborhood kids pretty much and, like, summer kids. You go to the beach, you go to the park, they're all within walking distance of, like, the main camp headquarters. You ride your bikes there, you go to, like, the penny candy store for lunch.
Hmm.
Awesome, awesome time. I went there from, like, I don't know, 8 to 12, 7 to 12, like, did 4 or 5 years of doing it. It was, such a cool part of my summer. I loved it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. But the stay away camp as like a kid, I just my wife's got that experience, but I've never done that. So that's one
Yeah,
thing
I've
that I
never done
can't.
that. That would be kind of fun, though. I did wish I could go to, like, a cabin in the woods, maybe not like the movie suggests, but go to a cabin up in the woods and just, like, you're in a summer camp for 8 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that like that you see, I mean, you see that as a kid, like plenty of like Disney shows and stuff like that where you have that Nickelodeon. So it's just like
Mhm.
I there's definitely time when I watched, I was like, oh, why did I never do this? But yeah. Anyways, so that is our number 4.
Yes, our number 3 here. This was my number 3. Nick's number 5. That gave it a combined score of 7. there if we're doing the math, kind of working backwards, right? So like our number 1 would give 10 points, our number 10 would give 1 point. So, you don't have to get caught up in the math here. Either way, this is our number 3. Probably could be number 1 on most boards. I think
Yes.
these last 3 could kind of be interchangeable as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
But it's Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yep. 100%.
All-time great rom-com. They so much so that they get like an unaffiliated spinoff movie with what's his name there?
Russell Brand is All the
Russell
Snow.
Brand. Yeah, and as All the Snow. And then of course Jonah Hill is in that movie as well. But all-time great stuff. Yeah, you're dealing with breakups, so that's very relatable. Needing to get away. You go to get a nice Hawaii vacation. They live on the West Coast, so it's not that crazy, even though I'm sure that's like a fairly long trip. Hawaii's pretty far, farther than you think. You think of the map because you think there'd be like a little distance, but it's like really in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's way out there. Just like the Azores on the other side of the country. It's oddly similar. But yeah, like the quote that I use from this movie all the time, my wife and I, is bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Kristen Bell, of course, mocking Russell Brand. But yeah, she's outrageous in this movie. Russell Brand, of course, is just outrageous in general. Mila Kunis, Jason Segel, Paul Rudd's in this, Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Just like you got a ton.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That's Paul Rudd's name.
Yeah. That's right. The surfboard instructor.
Yeah, who stopped wearing a watch when he came out here, and he's like, "Oh, that's really cool. You tell time by the sun." He's like, "No, I just got my phone tells me."
I said Paul Rudd, and I was like, "What's his fucking role in this?" I can't remember. And then the dumbass surfboard instructor.
Yeah,
he's outrageous. Yeah, he's great in this.
You look like you got some pain behind those eyes.
Oh my god,
that's great. And like you mentioned, Kristen Bell doing mocking Russell Brand there. Also, when Jonah Hill mocks him, and he's like, "That would be really, really terrible." And he's like, "Was that bad English accent supposed to be me?" And he's like, "Yes, it is." And he's like, "Oh, I'm about to go from 6 to midnight here." And it's like all this stuff, like everything Jonah Hill does is just so subtly hilarious.
This is a movie that when I first saw on a when we were like driving to and from like a series on a weekend in college, I didn't get, it wasn't like a really good representation just because like we're on a bus and it's just loud, and sometimes it's easier to sometimes it works out well, sometimes a movie plays to being played on a bus, but there's a lot that don't, and this was one of them for me. I was just kind of like, what's the big deal? Why do people love it? Then saw it again later, and of course very funny. Jason Segel's character is, Jason Segel can be frustrating at times, but at the same time, it plays well for the whole movie, and he's obviously a good actor.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to bring this up when we were talking about We're the Millers, but this is also applicable here. Jason Segel's just great at playing himself. The same thing with Jason Sudeikis. Like, he just kind of plays himself in every movie, and it's really enjoyable. Jason Bateman does it. We were talking about Hitman a couple of weeks ago. Retta, I feel like this came up in the same conversation. Just like her personality is so likable that like it's whatever extension it is of her, it just like works perfectly, and it's like very enjoyable. It doesn't matter if it's one note or anything like that, or just like repeatedly over and over. It's just someone that you enjoy spending time with.
Yeah, and this is where it's like with some of those like actors, it's like, well, you're just you're playing the same character over and over again. Again, if it's yourself, like then it's like, okay, great, but like you're not showing a whole lot of range, and that's probably why with some of the actors we don't see them delve into other stuff necessarily, or they don't necessarily do as well, because it's just you have limited range.
Hey, stick with what you know. We're not asking shortstops to be power hitters all the time, although that was a little stretch in the late 90s, early 2000s there. But however, it's okay, just play your role, do your part. There's going to be other people around you who can pick up the slack there. Not everyone can win an Oscar.
This is very true. Not everybody can be Paul Rudd.
You still get remembered all the time. Exactly. Paul Rudd, another great example of that.
Well, he can show more range though.
He can a little bit, but it is within the context of Paul Rudd.
That is a fair point. That is true. Yes, but it's just like I guess his dumbass roles. They are very similar, because like I'm thinking of like, is it Bobby Newport, right, in Parks and Rec?
Oh yeah, Parks and Rec. Yep.
And then his character here, they're different, but they are very similar. But at the same time, like he can play. So I guess he can play that, and then he can play Scott Lang pretty much.
Yeah, he can dress it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number two, and this is where we both had our same 2-1 here. So we both gave this 9 points, which is good for an average of 9. Those scoring at home. This is Heavyweights. This is a movie that we recorded last year. I believe it was for my birthday episode. So probably it was around late August of last year. If you want to go back into the archives, Heavyweights. So Ben Stiller makes the movie twice. Or makes the list twice, I should say. Maybe an all-time character from Ben Stiller. Dealing with fat camp, the last day of school. This is like perfect middle school time where you're kind of awkward. These kids are very awkward. It's practically the whole Mighty Ducks cast that goes on there. We got Goldberg. We got it's not Keenan, right? No,
Kenan Thompson. Yep.
Kenan Thompson. Yeah, Keenan. I was thinking like Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, no.
Kenan Thompson on there. Yeah, it's all great stuff. You even get the dad from Arrested Development, who's in there, who plays I think it's Maury. Yeah, Jeffrey Tambor, but Maury is the character.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, Maury Gardner. Jerry Gardner, step on the scale, step off the scale. Like Ben Stiller has all of these great quotes of playing a maniacal health freak who's just shouldn't be in charge with children, but he is. It's just an all-time character who probably birthed Dwight Goodman or White Goodman.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then this was actually CMM episode 235. As mentioned, it was in August. So I gave it a 90 out of 100. You have it at a 98 out of 100.
Near perfect movie. That feels right.
This is I mean, absolutely. Like, actually, this was not on my list originally, and that was totally because I didn't think it through. I could have done the same thing with Bridesmaids, but I just was so like, how the fuck did I not have Heavyweights? And we'd already done our scoring, so I had to clean it up a little bit. That Bridesmaids kind of slipped past me, but yeah, like this 100%. Again, talking about like sleepaway camps, and I mean, I never had to do something like a fat loss camp thing, but just the fact that this kind of thing would possibly exist is just insane.
And it was kind of normal. Like, I feel like now parents would be shamed into sending their kids there, or there would be some sort of stigma. And I don't think there was the same stigma back then about it.
That's well,
quite frankly, this might be, I don't want to get too polycharged here, but a whole lot less of the world was fat than they are now.
Well, yeah, but maybe bullying like this with White Goodman wasn't the way to go, and maybe that's what these were like. I'm
lack discipline.
Who
lunch has been canceled due to a lack of hustle. Deal with it.
I don't know. Do we know who wrote this? Is it Judd Apatow?
This is a Judd Apatow film. Yeah.
I wonder if this is like if there was a level of life experience that he had, or someone he knew that had life experience with this kind of thing. Because I forgot that it was an actual thing. It's insane. But
yeah, it didn't. Like, I remember watching it as a kid and thinking like, oh, this is unusual that there's a fat camp. Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just what normalized it for me. But I was it just seemed like kind of like a normal thing.
Yeah,
I don't think it was as serious. I think a lot of these would be like kind of like getting used to your body, or like accepting your body while also trying to eat healthy.
Which is what it used to be when Jerry Stiller and his wife
right. Yeah.
owned it before that. Yeah. So okay, coming in at number 1 for us. We both gave.
Do we want to do some honorable mentions before we do that? There, kind of add some drama to this here. Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely right. You are absolutely right. My apologies. So the one that I added late in the mix, just as we were talking through stuff, I think specifically when you brought up the way back, was Summer Catch.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not fully summer vacation, but at the same time, for us, being guys who grew up around the Cape League in some capacity. It's like, it's about that. It is like summer ball is a level of like time off, because like you don't have school as a player and you can just play.
Well, you're going to a new place, right? You're going to a new home for 8 weeks or so.
Yep, and being on the Cape, it's like, it adds a level of like vacationality to it, and obviously there's a lot of hijinks in this movie. I don't know that it had to be on this list, but for me, that was one that I kind of overlooked in this process.
Yeah, this came up. I forget when we were talking about it, or when it came up in our conversation today, but it crossed my mind that this may be my option for my birthday choice.
Ooh, okay, I like that a
Where
lot.
this is so bad, we can get some high, in-depth conversation about breaking down the baseball mechanics of Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh boy.
or Matthew Lillard behind the dish. We could talk about the Cape Cod angles, our experiences on the Cape. I feel like that's just like would be a lot of fun to do, and
Okay.
it's such a bad movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm jotting down that next to in our doc, so that way we have it there for later.
Yeah, I was
As
thinking that or either Along Came Polly. I think Summer Catch would be like right up our alley, though.
that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, so not on the list, understandably so, but
But I think it's worth mentioning nonetheless.
yes,
The one that I was thinking of when we were talking about like road trips and stuff that I thought was an oversight was Borat, the original Borat.
yeah, this is a fair point.
It's a work trip kind of, right? Because that's like he's filming a documentary.
Yeah, I don't think I would have put it on my list because like just for where like for the conversation, but at the same time, it is fair. Like this is something that could be featured on somebody's list if
Mm.
if it came to mind. But I
I
could see like it not come into anybody's mind, quite honestly.
I think this was an oversight on my part. It probably would have kicked back my bias in the way back.
Oh,
Maybe my Christmas movie, which I'll just say this was just missed on the list at what 11, 12, tied for 11th. Was Home Alone 1 or 2. That was the holiday movies that I was talking about. Home Alone 1 feels vacation adjacent because everyone goes away, but the main character stays at home, staycation, if you will, but not really planned that way. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. I mean, that's a vacation movie, just not as good as Home Alone 1. So that's where I was kind of like, which one do I choose? Is one acceptable? Is one not acceptable? So I put them both on the list and figured I'd go with whatever one that we deemed would be okay. Either way, just missed out. It was number 7 on my list, number 8 on my list.
now I love the Home Alone movies. Like I like them both more than Christmas Vacation, but at the same time, I just your logic is 100% right with Home Alone 2. Like that was my lean, but then I was like, I feel like if I don't put Christmas Vacation on the list and then I put Home Alone 2, that's going to be like, well, the one says vacation in it. Maybe I got
Hmm.
too hung up on labels. But at the same time, like I just that was why I ended up ranking that and not putting Home Alone on my list because I was like, I'm just not counting this as a vacation movie. So
Hmm. We have this was teased out a little bit too.
yeah,
Taken and Hostel were two movies where I was like, well, these are like technically vacation movies, but not in the way that you would hope they would pan out.
yeah.
Both, both good. They're both, memorable in their own right, but just not good enough to make the list.
No, 100%. That was like that, once I saw that, I was like, this is a great call. And you know, talking about vacations gone wrong, it'd be kind of
Yeah.
that'd be pretty dark if we put that on our top 10.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It would turn heads though. We
Yes,
would get we'd get some eyeballs on it. That's for sure.
that's for damn sure. Speaking of getting eyeballs, just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
That was that trailer back in the day. When like that was the first time that I recall hearing of Brooklyn Decker. I
Okay,
don't
so I'm trying to think. Is this with Jennifer Aniston?
Jennifer Aniston, Brooklyn Decker,
Yeah,
obviously Sandler.
and they go to
It
Hawaii. Is that?
I think it's Hawaii. I'm not sure, but
'Cause
he's
I
like,
confuse this one. I think it's blended with Drew Barrymore, where they go to Africa.
okay,
And
yep,
this is kind of like Sandler's stretch where he's doing family movies, and it's like, let me just take my family on a vacation.
yep. Yeah, he did that with Grown Ups
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Which but with just go with it, like Brooklyn Decker, from at least for me, that was like her big like. I'd never heard of her. Like, who is this
Hmm.
person? And I don't know what else she's been in. She got married. Isn't she married to like Andy Roddick? Like,
I
that's
think
the
Andy
joke at the end of
Roddick.
the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, at the end of the movie, that's like the joke. Like, she's in the plane with him. Like, they're actually, I think they're already married in real life at that point.
yeah.
Um,
And she was a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. I think she might have been a cover girl one year.
I know she was because
Yeah.
I actually, for my brother, for his college dorm, I was interning at SI, and I think she was like, on the cover, I think after the movie, but I got that cover, and like, it was like a big poster, like a cardboard poster of it
Hmm.
at SI. I got it and gave it to my brother for his college dorm.
Oh,
So
perfect. That's way better than like the two girls kissing in a bikini or something. Like I feel like that's like a classic poster that you would see in the dorm rooms there.
exactly, it's like it's a little more tasteful.
A little more, yeah.
Other ones that were on my list that didn't make our list, Palm Springs,
Never
and
saw that movie. I heard good things though.
it's a good one. Dirty Dancing, and I did the one that got bumped off for heavyweights that was at the very bottom of my list was The Holiday, which
Hmm.
again you're dealing with Christmas stuff, but it's like they're calling it the holiday because like you have people taking time off and like they're going into different parts of the world and everything. So
Hmm.
it's a more of a it's a romance. So like it's that's Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, and Jack Black. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of a nicer movie. It's like a sweeter movie, I should say.
Now, is this kind of like a play on the European term holiday?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
but
it takes place during Christmas time, but it's
it
still
does.
like they're
Yes,
going on holiday, like we would say we're going on vacation, right?
bingo, exactly.
Gotcha.
So I was again like that was another Christmas. Like it is a Christmas movie, but like I felt like that one's not. So that was why it
Hmm.
wasn't such deep consideration for me. But at the same time, that was at the very bottom of my list and got bumped off.
Yeah, I had Euro Trip and Road Trip. We mentioned Grown Ups. Again, that was a bit of a bias pick. They film it at the same place where the way back it was filmed at Waterways there, right down the road from me. So just wanted to make a mention of that. But Euro Trip, Road Trip, I feel like those are like classic raunchy teen comedies. You could even say Sex Drive is a more underrated raunchy teen comedy. That's got Plop. I forget his name. But he's the guy from The Office who kind of looks like a lesbian. He's like in the late seasons.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like yeah, I don't know, but never mind. I can't think of his name, but people listening will get it. Spring Breakers. I don't know if you ever saw that, but that's like a sexy college teen thriller. It's got James Franco and Selena Gomez. I think it's an A24 movie. James Franco's pretty much playing like Riff Raff. He's like a white guy with grills and he's got all these tattoos and like braids and dread like hair.
Oh,
Really
okay.
bad movie, but spring break nonetheless,
Hmm.
Let me see anything else here. Adventureland. That's a fun coming of age movie, kind of in the similar fashion of the way back, probably with a little bit more comedy. Jesse Eisenberg and Ryan Reynolds. I think Amber Heard's in it as well. All takes place. They work at a amusement park during the summertime, so maybe
Oh,
it's not. So it's like summer vacation, but not like going away on vacation.
I don't think I've actually seen that one. The name
It's a
seems
good one.
familiar.
Yeah.
But that is it for our honorable mention. As for our number one, again, we
Yes.
both gave it a 10, put it at the top of our list. And we mentioned, talking about bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, those can absolutely be thrown in the mix. So, of course, that's going to put The Hangover at the
Hmm.
top of our list at number one. Bradley Cooper, we mentioned him before with Wet Hot American Summer,
Right.
but this
Yeah.
is, for me, as far as I was concerned, Bradley Cooper did not exist until The Hangover. I've always since that's been since disproven, but he
Yeah.
was
Pretty
never on my
much.
radar. Yeah,
Yeah. I think was this before or after the Limitless movie?
before. Yeah,
This was
no,
before. Yeah.
this was. I mean, 100%. This is what launched him. There's no choice.
Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah. Because he was in Wedding Crashers, right? And that probably led to
that
that was
probably
like
led,
your exposure, right, to him, and then this probably led to his breakout in Hangover.
I actually, I didn't even like register him in like as an
Yeah,
actor.
I didn't recognize him either, but I'm sure that was like he was like that character was memorable, but as an actor, I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, which I mean that says that's something about his acting, but
Hmm.
but yeah. So because he had that, and obviously Wet Hot American Summer. I don't know what else was in previously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, but no, this definitely like kickstarted, like launched everything for him, and the same could be said for Zach Galifianakis, another guy who's been around. He was a stand-up comedian for a while. Then he does this Between Two Ferns, and he kind of has this like awkward, irreverent type of personality. And he just steals the show in it. Jeffrey Tambor's in this again. We're getting a couple of like repeat characters here.
Mhm.
Top vacation type movies.
Yep.
Ben Stiller, Bradley Cooper and Jeffrey Tambor, the best vacation actors of all time.
Who knew?
Yeah,
But
clearly.
yeah, with Galifianakis, this like we said, it launched him, but he didn't have as long of a runway. He did have that one show that he did for a while, and I'm blanking on.
Between Two Ferns.
No, like that not
Oh,
that not
Baskets.
Baskets. That's what
Hmm.
it was. That he did that one for a while. and I'm blanking on the actor he did that with, who played his mother.
Louis
But
Anderson.
there we go.
Hmm.
But yeah, so Baskets, Between Two Ferns, and then he did the campaign with Will Ferrell. But otherwise, like I feel like he just hasn't done as much over the years, what for whatever reason. But this was unquestionably his peak. And then you have Ed Helms, of course. This led to
Sure.
my long going Ed Helms, Jason Sudeikis confusion. I always thought they were the same person
Really?
for a
You
while.
thought they were the same? Because I feel like they have different personalities. Maybe there's a resemblance there a little bit, but
This is weird, but I figured it out as I got older. Obviously, like was able to tell between the two, but like I was like, what the fuck is the reason I thought they were so similar? It's their heads. It is shaped like the same
oh,
exact way.
okay, okay.
So
Oh,
that's
he's another guy mentioned twice on here. He's in We're the Millers.
right. That's right. Yep. So
He's the bad guy. Yeah,
seeing them in the one together, it's just like I remember that
it,
being like, what the
it's
fuck?
confusing.
That
And of
might have
course,
broke it for me.
Ken Jeong launched Jeong,
Oh
who was,
yeah,
by my understanding, a dentist before this, who just did like
I,
sketch comedy,
I think he was
improv.
I think he was doctor, like a surgeon, not to like
Oh, either I mean, either way, right? But
yeah,
that's like pretty crazy that
yeah,
you were able to transition like that into like a pretty long career. You talk about one note guys and not really lasting, right? Zach Galifianakis kind of burnt out, but Ken Jeong has a little bit more runway.
yep,
And they're essentially just doing one thing the whole time.
yeah.
Um,
Of course,
Zach Galifianakis is probably funnier in my opinion.
right, and of course, Mike Tyson has a cameo in this. Heather Graham is in
Hmm.
this. The one that we don't talk about a ton for obvious reasons, but like Justin Bartha, who you're probably maybe listeners are probably like, who the hell is that? That's Doug, like the
Yeah.
actual Doug.
Yep.
Imagine being cast in this movie and you're like the guy who's getting married, but you're also like barely in the whole damn thing. Like
Now,
you're the connective tissue, but you're not really fully utilized.
yeah, you're the whole reason why the gang gets together, right? And this whole movie happens, right? But I wonder if the payday's like kind of the same, like, yeah, hey, I didn't really do a whole lot of work. I'm just there at the beginning and the end, and maybe I come out with a few mil.
Maybe, but like this is a like a legendary comedy,
I
and
know he's a
the,
footnote in it.
he's a
Yeah,
footnote in it. And then they went and made two others, and again, like not great, but like they're not. He wasn't in two, right? Much was he? Like I don't remember. I don't remember two and three all that well.
yeah. Two, they go to Thailand, I think. Yes, I think he's in it a little bit more.
Maybe,
Um,
maybe
But
that's
I
what it
I
was
think
that
he
time.
missed the night. I think he had went like I don't think he was involved in the antics again.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's just
I don't know. I forgot that movie now.
either
But yeah,
way, like yeah, two and three are not like no one's going back and rewatching two and three for like maybe we will do it someday
there
for
we
the
go.
show,
Yeah.
but you're not doing it just on a random Thursday night or something like that when you're bored.
Yeah, and this first one again, it was a huge box office success. Much like Wedding Crashers, I feel like this like hit on all ages. Like even though this probably wasn't a movie to watch with your family, like if,
Right.
if you're in high school or something of a certain age, like you can sit down and watch this with your family, and everyone is having a good time with it.
Hmm.
The whole idea of Vegas and everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, coupled with the bachelor party mentality. I thought this was just great, kind of smashing two tropes together. Some stuff that people do all the time, whether they go on bachelor trips or just a boys' weekend, that sort of thing, and the craziness that kind of ensues. Obviously to the extremes, but I think this did such a great job of encapsulating that.
But see, and that kind of plays into what I was trying to get at with Doug. It's like of all the characters who you see with a level of frequency on the screen, like obviously Heather Graham and Jeffrey Tambor, Mike Epps is in it, but like there's
Hmm. Hmm.
there's faces that are familiar, but like he's supposed to be one of like the lead guys in a way, like in terms of the story, but not in terms of the cast. He of those four actors before going into that movie, I think he was the one I remember seeing the most because he's in
National Treasure.
National Treasure, and then there's
Hmm.
another movie. Was it? There was another second tier like action type movie that he was in. What was it, Sahara? Which isn't a great movie, but I
Yeah,
remember seeing that guy in other stuff. Whereas those other three, Ed Helms, Galifianakis, and Cooper, I hadn't seen them in anything, and they just took off from here.
that's a good point. Yeah, because yeah, that is a good point. I feel like Galifianakis, like if you followed stand up at that point, like you might recognize him from his stand up routine,
Mm,
but not to the level of celebrity that he was after this movie or like Hollywood big screen type of thing. It's not like he had a TV show or anything
mhm.
like that. He was kind of like I don't want to say a niche comedian, but he was kind of like underground.
Well, I mean, you know better than I would. I don't think stand-up
I
was
think.
as popular back then. Like, it wasn't that it was like unpopular, but it's just like now it's just so
Yeah,
much
it's
more
it's
accessible.
everywhere. So yeah, exactly. Way more accessible. I think that's a good way of putting it, for sure. Yeah, so that's our list. To run through it real quick. We got. I'll do 10 through 6. We
Yeah.
got the way back at 10. Christmas Vacation at 9. Along Came Polly at 8. Bridesmaids at 7, and A Cabin in the Woods at 6.
At number 5, we got We're the Millers. At number 4, Wet Hot American Summer. Number 3, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Number 2, Heavyweights. And number 1, Hangover.
Yes.
The Hangover. But yeah, I feel good about our list. I think after talking about stuff, maybe I would have made an adjustment, 1 or 2 spots, maybe, on my list.
Mm-hmm.
But I like I by and large like where things ended up.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best part about this is I think we got a lot of comedy movies, which I think are our bread and butter. Like one that we didn't miss that I had on my list. I think I had this at number 9. Little Miss Sunshine. They're going cross country. That's like cinematically, thematically,
Mhm,
theatrically. There we go. A really good movie, Oscar nominated. Again, Steve Carell coming up in here, so that's good stuff.
mhm.
And then who else? I think Paul Dano's in this. You get a bunch of
Yeah.
people in it. Greg Kinnear. I think Toni Collette is in this as well. That's her second time coming up on this. Um, so yeah, so like a very interesting, a very good movie. Also a little bit of a downer too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so like I like that we had a lot of comedies in here because Vacation is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be lighthearted, you're supposed to be getting some laughs. Whether it's just downright funny or it's like at the expense of someone failing with like Bridesmaids or The Hangover, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, whatever the case is. Someone's getting poked fun at there, which is that's a summer vibe.
Yeah.
Everyone does some light ribbing around the summertime when you gather around the grill.
Yeah. That's what you hope that summer is a fun time, at least. We're at least trained to think that as kids by having summer off from school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so everyone, that's our list. We got quick discharge depot coming at you right now.
Choo choo, bitches.
So once again, we're recording this, a little bit in advance here. This is July 5th. A little peek behind the curtain as a crow flies. Nick, how was your 4th of July?
My 4th of July was outstanding. Just relaxed the whole time. I had to do a little bit in terms of prep for our trip that I'm now on as people are listening,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
yeah, very relaxing. And we have like a pool at our complex, and they just like redid the whole area, so it was
Oh,
pretty nice.
nice.
And we got to go over there and just hang out for a bit for the day. So yeah, just kind of relax. I know normally get together, grilling and all that kind of stuff, but just with our trip coming up, we needed to use the time to reset and whatnot.
Yeah, get prepared.
Mhm.
Charge those batteries up so they can be depleted on the vacation there. Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you?
Yeah, it was kind of lackluster. The American holidays are my most favorite holidays: Memorial Day, Labor Day, President's Day, 4th of July. Just all the basics.
Mm.
Um, but I really do love 4th of July, and unfortunately, our daughter had a light grade fever, so
Mm.
we were kind of stuck inside. She's okay now, but like,
Okay.
she was. We just didn't want to exasperate it anymore. My wife was in the town 4th of July parade that goes down Main Street every year. So we went to that in the morning and just kind of hung out the rest of the day. Then it started to rain a little bit. It got a little overcast here, so I wasn't too upset about that. Where we weren't doing anything, but I did go golfing. Very nice private course in Bourne on the 3rd of July, and
Oh.
had a good time. Although
Mhm.
my buddy had a complete mental and physical meltdown. Just I've never seen anything like it. Like if you're a right-handed golfer, he was hitting shots like 45 to 60 degrees, like to his right, like on a line. Like he
Mm.
was opening up his hips and turning so much that they were like, it's like if you were a baseball player and hit a line drive foul ball, and you're right-handed over the third base dugout. Yeah, like think of that trajectory.
Oh, he was pulling it to the left side?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh, oh, jeez. Oh,
Well, yeah,
wow.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, to the left side. Yeah,
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yep, yep. That's wild.
yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like, the normal shanking kind of stuff.
No,
'Cause
no, no. Like,
ooh,
turning like into it there. Yeah, which was I've never seen anything like it. He must have done that like a half dozen times.
wow.
Uh, and he's just again a complete breakdown. Like, yeah, we're playing. His uncle is a member at the Picasset Golf Club. Very nice Donald Ross course. Very tough. If you played Whaling City, it's kind of similar, but in much better condition. Uh, Wide greens, there's fescue. When you approach the green, it's very well guarded with bunkers. You don't never really get like a flat level green.
Mhm.
There's always some little dip or dive somewhere. So it's challenging. I shot really well. Shot a 45 on the front, and then finished with a 96. So it was at like a 51 on the back. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So it was tough, but like the kid was just MFing himself the whole time, was always in his head. He's my good friend from college. And we were trying to tell him, like, cheer him up, like, oh, like, don't think about the last hole, like, think about the next hole, everything you got, like, next nine's your nine, kind of like
Yeah.
trying to amp him up a little bit or like get him to see the glass half full approach. And he just didn't want anything about it. And like, we're like, it looks like you're trying to like swing off your heels, like he was like
Mm.
having a baseball type, trying to crush the ball. He's like, no, that's not it. I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like not replacing his divots. Again, a very nice course, very well maintained course. So like me and his uncle had to go back and like replace his divots a handful of time. It's just very, very difficult. I apologize to anyone who I've played golf with where I've been like a poor sport and mad about it. Because that just really ruins your whole day. Because then like you
Yeah.
can't really enjoy like yourself playing well because then you feel like it's like compounding the issue for them. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
It just kind of stinks.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever experienced that with anybody being like losing their cool to that level. Um, because they're struggling on the golf course. It sounds yeah, it's a rough day for him.
Yeah, he
But
shot a very generous 107,
yeah, okay, I don't.
and it was a generous 107.
Yeah, but the reason I laughed before because you brought up Whaling City, and I just think to the time that we played there, and
Mm,
we ran into Rasheed Wallace, in
that's
his
yeah.
Blazers jersey. God,
Way, way better main. I was actually telling that story when I was like, "Yeah, well, you played, Donald Ross, Whaling City," and my buddy was like, "Yeah, that's a nice course. It's well maintained." And I was like, "It kind of is."
no, it's not.
Oh,
No, it's not. What? Like
yeah,
the
that's what it is.
Yeah. The two stories I remember actually, like, most of all, come from the same hole, I think. Obviously, our
The
listeners have
par
heard this story.
three, yeah,
Yes. Was it a part 3 that you
yeah. That we had the leaf blower on, yeah,
Oh, okay, then it was a different hole. The other one I remember was when it was definitely a par 4 where I had to hit it out of the sand, and it was like a fairway bunker, and it was like hard as a rock.
yeah,
I hit
yeah.
it. I hit it as good a shot as I've ever hit, but it was like I was, what the fuck is this? Like
Because
this
you
is
didn't need any sand, you could just pick it cleanly off.
yeah. So, but it was crazy.
Yeah,
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 that I
not
thought
the
that
most maintained course, no.
yeah.
Yeah. Rasheed Wallace, yeah, that's good. That's good inside joke. That's good podcasting there.
There you go. But yeah, so when I get back, we're gonna be doing the boys, right?
But the boys, and then Daredevil, not Daredevil. God, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Same difference.
Yeah,
Deadpool, Daredevil, all the same. Yes, we got a big late July into August.
yeah, that's gonna be great stuff. I'm very excited for it, and I'm sure Nick's very excited because he's gonna be on vacation. So this is a great primer episode for it. So Nick, have safe travels. We'll talk to you. We'll be recording at our normal time and place on Monday.
Yes.
But I'll just get it out of the way now. Have safe travel.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Wes.
Yeah, same bat time, same bat place,
Stinky.
all that stuff.